and not pay the price and the consequences of it. But we're also not just about opposing things, we're also about creativity and seeing where people are coming from. So we're producing a book, and we've received hundreds of submissions to it already, called Why We're Socialists. We've asked people just to write in and say in no more than 500 words, absolutely no more than 500 words, and that's quite a hard thing for some of our friends, why they're a socialist. Amazing stories, absolutely amazing stories of where they came from on their journey towards the idea of a different socialist society. And it's empowering when you bring people together, which is exactly what Victor Jara and Salvador Allende were doing in 1970, empowering people and bringing those people together to achieve something different and a different change. And so we're doing all of that, and a lot of work on international solidarity as well as trade union solidarity, and I'm very pleased and very proud of the work that we're doing. It's going to get bigger, it's going to get stronger, it's going to be more intensive and more effective as time goes on. But you'll see the leaflets that are going around this weekend on environmental and other issues. But it's also about solidarity. I want to talk to you about one person who we need to express a great deal of solidarity with today. That is Julian Assange. Julian Assange's crime is what?
Nothing.
He hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't sought to kill anybody. He hasn't sought to destroy anybody's life. What he's done is exposed what was going on in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Guantanamo Bay, and the threats he's received, the death threats he's received, and all that he's been through. And he's nevertheless continued with just telling the truth of the power structures around the world and the way in which the environment has been destroyed in so many poorer countries in the global south. The way in which military and security organisations have been strengthened in order to destroy trade unions and other people. And he's eventually was arrested, taken into prison, and is still now in Her Majesty's Prison Belmarsh, the nastiest, most oppressive regime of any prison in this country. He has no conviction against him. He's been several years there, most of it in solitary confinement. And if the extradition request is ever ultimately successful, and it's been fought all the way, then Julian will be taken to the United States, where he'll be sentenced under the Espionage Act and will get a prison sentence of 175 years in a maximum security prison in Colorado, where he will not be able to move. It will be a death sentence for him. I salute him and his family for all the work that they've done, and the way in which his legal team have tenaciously fought it. They're going back through the whole English legal system, and they're going back to the European Court of Human Rights as well. So what's the response of our government here? To bring in a British Bill of Rights which will reduce the ability to go to the European Court of Human Rights. It's nothing to do with the European Union. It's the European Court of Human Rights established after the Second World War to be a court of appeal on human rights issues. Why are they trying to abolish it? The access to it? Because they had the temerity to say that deporting people to Rwanda rather than allowing refugees to claim asylum in this country was wrong. Well, I tell them this: we're going to support Julian Assange, we're going to oppose the British Bill of Rights, and we're going to stand in solidarity with refugees wherever they come from in gaining peace and solidarity in this country. And so, what brings us together here this weekend in this wonderful festival of music and poetry and ideas and discussion is that belief in the strength of communities, the strength of people coming together, to venerate those that have gone in the past, but above all, to inspire and encourage the youth of the next generation of what can be achieved. Young people have a rough deal in our society. They're brought up in this country in an over-competitive education system, over-tested, overstressed. Many of them suffer because they're over-tested and overstressed, deemed to be unachievers in their schools, so they don't achieve, they go somewhere else, do something else, or do nothing, and feel very thrown out and depressed as a result of it. You see that such young people all around the country. If they go to university, they're going to leave with a debt of between £50,000 and £70,000, which is, for many people, totally unpayable. If they want to get somewhere to live, they've got the debt hanging over them, and they've got private sector rents going through the roof, and they've got insufficiency of council housing. If they go to work, they're on minimum wage or on a youth rate in some cases. They are grossly exploited and looking forward to a worse provision of public services, a worse standard of living than their parents or grandparents had. That's never happened before in history. Most history is, you assume your children and your children's children's generation are going to be better off than we are. That's what we all want. But we now have a turning the clock back against young people. I think it's important that the solidarity movements, those on the left, actually inspire young people to dream of what they can achieve and help them to achieve it. We're not going to do it by putting people in boxes in competitions. You're going to do it by bringing people together and recognising the strength and value in every young person and their character, understanding history, how political change came about from demonstrations, from activity, from solidarity, how monsters like Pinochet can be and were defeated by popular actions, not just in their own country, but all around the world. How apartheid was defeated by the people of South Africa, as well as solidarity around the world. How the civil rights movement in the United States achieved change. How those huge changes were made in Latin America from independence onwards. It's strengthening and empowering people to understand their course and their place in history and what they can contribute to the world. So I think this festival here this weekend gives us that chance to come together, discuss those things, but above all to go out and campaign. And I want to finish by just quoting something that Victor Jara sang. All of Chile, all we're saying, we shall prevail, we shall overcome the fascists. 1,000 chains will not be able to break our spirit. We will prevail. Victor Jara's son, in the most terrible circumstances at the end of his life. His thoughts, his music, his inspiration, his life lives on here in Machynlleth, and indeed, wherever there is struggle, anywhere around the world, the voice of Victor Jara is there. Thank you very much. Now we have a gift. Comes well, the gift for you, a jar of homemade jam.